So today we're going to combine our continued search for a 200-inch whitetail in the Hunter Classic with a bit of a turkey hunt, because turkey season here in PA has finally opened and it got me wanting to actually go after them a bit as well. So we've got, of course, the turkey decoy here. We have the 16 gauge shotgun, which is just going to change it up a little bit from what we normally use. And I'm hoping that we can go along in the southern part of the northern island and hopefully run into both whitetail and turkeys. So the plan is to kind of move around in sort of a grid pattern going back and forth along this island. And hopefully that allows us to cover most of the ground in the area where both species should be. And we'll see what we can find. We actually had a gobbler sound off already, so we'll probably go and sit in this blind and bring him in first, and then we'll get walking on that path. This did not turn out like I had planned, but there ended up being another gobbler, and they're kind of the same size, so we're going to try to get this one. It just would feel weird to shoot a turkey out of a tree stand, I think, with a shotgun, so using the recurve there we can. The other one is back here somewhere, and I'm pretty confident that shot won't have spooked him. And with the opportunity to actually get down, we're going to go ahead and try to use the 16 gauge here. So, I actually didn't pay attention to the weight of the first one, but it would actually be smart in these situations because we entered a competition to try to take as many as we can. There was a blacktail buck just chilling there, I guess, but we can potentially do well in that competition because I think there's a weight comp and a score one. This guy is pretty low weight, so we're definitely not going to get anything too special from that. Though heart shot's not bad. 40.6, and then I'm guessing this guy is probably not much above like 45. They had similar estimates, and I think similar beard length. Headshot that guy at 20 meters with the bird shot, and yeah, 44 for him. So not too bad for just starting out here at the very first spot getting two gobblers. So for most of these, we are of course going to be away from our main setups. And for when that happens, we're pretty much just going to be setting up our decoy in a pretty good open area, and then backing away from it. And we can see there's a gobbler responding to us up there, just somewhere up the hill from us. And as long as we have a good field of view, it should be no big deal to get them with the shotgun and just kind of continue moving. But already, only went a couple hundred meters, and we have another one coming in. I am actually quite pleased though that we went ahead and entered that competition, because there's something about these lower scoring turkeys where for some reason they're often on the higher end of the weight spectrum, and it kind of makes them a little more interesting to actually go after rather than just kind of shooting them and moving on. That one was up to 9.6 kg, so I'm not sure, maybe if it's at the very highest end of that, it could be pretty good, but a lot of them, yeah, they're like 9.4 kg, and they scored nothing. Like 30.5 is really, really low for them, but I think I'm trying to do the math in my head. Maybe 3 that scored right at 9.4 or weighed right at 9.4 would get us in the top 3 for that particular competition. And so often they are those lower scoring birds, so all of them actually are useful to us, not just the ones with the longer beards and spurs. And I do always forget when we go and do these turkey hunts with a shotgun that something happened. It was several years ago, but pretty much using birdshot or buckshot, we end up with a little bit of lag because like all the pellets are rendering into the ground behind the shot, and it gets a little bit frustrating, but it can be quite fun to do it a little bit differently than hunting with the bow. This guy is 8.7 kg, so I think we had one lower than that at the beginning. It should be a slight improvement, and of course he's just a 35 score. But yeah, it's got us up to 26.7 as our total weight, and the turkey that flew away there, I don't know if we heard it call right before we shot, but it was just a hen, so that's kind of our setup, doing what it's meant to do. We get to know what's coming in since everything's in the open and make sure we don't miss anything. So obviously we are not in the best position, but this guy has really made us wait. He's been just coming in super slow, and he's not that big, but he does have a good weight estimate. I think we'll pop up and try to get him here. It went up to 9.9 as he was walking across the field. And I was looking at the competition and figuring out the average. I think you need an average of basically 9.7 kg to end up in first in that comp right now, which would be pretty high, but I kind of think it would mostly be shooting lower scoring turkeys to get there. 9.3 for this guy, so our average is going to be looking pretty good right now. We'll see where that puts us. Currently in 18th with a 27.3, where I think first place is exactly 29. So we're not that far off if we could get one super heavy turkey, but ideally that could be one with a good beard and spur length so we could actually get a high scoring one. So finally we actually have a whitetail buck coming in. We've passed doe after doe just going along hunting turkeys. And of course this guy is not special, but maybe that means there's some more down this way. We're getting pretty far down onto the northern part of the island. So maybe we're starting to get into where all the whitetail bucks have spawned. But good to see that and actually get to use the recurve again, and we actually are in a whitetail competition as well. Now this particular one is not going to be an entry because that competition is for whitetail bucks taken with buckshot. But the nice thing is, since we're hunting with a 16 gauge anyway, we didn't have to bring an extra weapon. We'll just have to equip buckshot if we actually see a good one. And go figure, right on cue, we actually have a good sized whitetail buck coming in. The estimate's 165 to 185. I do believe it's an 8x8, but I'm not so sure he's got a big enough frame to go upwards of like 175. We'll get buckshot loaded. I wanted him to get good and close, because the 16 gauge buckshot is a little weak, but at that range that's going to have no problem taking him out. I really don't know what top 3 was. I believe number 1 was like 179. We'll see what this guy is. Actually managed to heart shot him. He's going to score 165.5. His low end of the estimate is 165, so that just about figures. Still not going to put us into the top 10, and kind of unfortunate since he is that low scoring, because there was another whitetail buck coming in that grunted a couple of times. I sort of expected it's a smaller scoring one since it did grunt a few times in like a short time span, but you never really know with them, and I sort of thought this guy might be at least a little bigger with that estimate. Regardless though, I am quite glad we actually got to take a whitetail with a 16 gauge, because it's a pretty cool trophy shotgun to see like the entire gun. It's just not a weapon that we often take like big game with, so that's still quite nice. I think we might wander up there and see if we can figure out what that other buck was. Fortunately, the little call icon was still on the hunter mate there, so we can probably go up and get a track and at least see if he's worth following. If he's above like a 90 or 95 kg max, we'll probably go and take a look. And I think at 65 to 85, the risk is just too high that it's the same size as the one before last. So we'll probably let that one go and continue, especially if we just ran into 3 bucks kind of in this same area. There's probably others around that maybe have a higher chance of being good size. So of course they're coming in pretty far apart, but I think we might be able to manage a double here. Since it is a double barrel, if we can manage to get the far one first, I bet we can get this guy as he runs or flies away. So since he's getting close, I don't want to spook him. Let's hit that one, deal with the lag. And that one ran perfectly into view, so I saw the far one. It was still running off. I really don't even know if you can hit them with birdshot and have them end up, like, surviving it. Hopefully he went down not too far away, and neither of them were very big or heavy, so they're not going to get us anywhere in those comps, but good to actually get them. And luckily we actually did switch to birdshot, because I almost forgot about that. 8.9 is not going to be an improvement. This will be where we hit that one, so we'll see if he maybe did end up going down. I expect him to, although that first blood doesn't show much drop. Oh, he didn't go anywhere. Alright, good. So at least we don't have to track him. 8.7 kg, so yeah, no improvements from them, but at least kind of a decent side with that guy. So of course on a day where we've entered a whitetail score comp and a turkey weight comp, we'd end up with a max weight estimate whitetail that's got like a decent frame, but not that many tines. We'll see if he ends up weighing like right at the top end of the estimate, but it is good to come here to Whitehart and actually see a couple of good whitetail, because this is where we came last time, and if I remember right, we killed like a 140 and that was it. But 97 kg and a 150 score is not too bad, and I figured rather than just end with a fast travel available, we might as well use that. And we just have a pretty average whitetail buck coming in. Just 100 to 125, so not anywhere near our best two. But walking right into shotgun range, I actually probably should be taking him with the recurve, but because we don't get to use the 16 gauge much, I figured I might as well drop him with the buckshot. Maybe one harvest we could have added to our count for the recurve, but we'll get that back one of these days with something else. But like I said, just with the last buck, it was good to come here and actually see a couple of good sized ones. I was quite surprised that we didn't get any really good sized turkeys, because usually like a full-on turkey hunt, at least like a 50 or 60 is relatively, I would say, like achievable, but the kind of goal of that was to pretty much run into some good sized whitetail along the way, and that's exactly what we did, so definitely can't complain about that, and definitely an improvement over our last Whitehart hunt as well. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.